Okay, gentlemen, have a seat, please. Thank you. Before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to make a real brief announcement. Somebody evidently lost or dropped a small, looks like maybe an ear pad box case. Anybody? A little plastic black case? Oh, okay. Would you give that to our employee? Okay, we found her. All right, thank you all very much. Calling to order the Liquor Board hearing for April 9th, 2024, and is now in session. All hearings of the board are now transcribed and stored electronically. These transcripts, serving as minutes of the hearing, are accessible for review by scheduling an appointment with the board. I now make a motion that the transcripts of the previous board hearings, which was held on February 13th, 2024, be accepted as the board minutes for that date, and I ask for a second. Thank you, Commissioner. We'll have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so carried. Couple quick announcements. I'll let the chief handle them on postponements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. La Fogata and
Dave and
Buster's have both been postponed to a date as yet to be determined.
Okay, so if anybody here is here to hear or represent themselves for either one, Dave and Buster's or La Fogata, this will be postponed to a future date, which I would imagine will either be June or July. We will post it as we normally do. So thank you. And if you want, you're excused. All right, Mr. Praley, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jimmy Praley. I serve as the board's counsel. A couple brief announcements tonight. The first is that the commissioners before you are all part-time public servants. They all have other outside interests. When they know they have a conflict of interest, they'll recuse themselves, but due to the number of cases that the board hears on any night and the ability for members of the public to come and testify in support or against of any given matter, it'd be impossible for the commissioners to know if they have a conflict with every case. So when your case is called, if you believe that a commissioner or commissioners, as the case may be, does have a conflict, you need to make the board aware of that, and we will make a determination appropriately. Otherwise, the board will move forward under the impression that there are no conflicts. Second, the rules and regulations of this board allow for the purposes of judicial economy to have counsel rule on admissibility of evidence and objection if counsel are present on any given matter and objections are made to a particular piece of evidence or testimony. This allows us to expedite our hearings and move them along. So if your case is called, there are objections made regarding any particular piece of evidence or testimony. Sometimes instead of the board or the chairman making a ruling, the chairman will designate that ability to me. I will make the ruling, and my ruling will be that of the chairman and the board. Last but not least, as I'm sure many of the individuals in the room know tonight, we are smack in the middle of the renewal period for the board, which is the busy season, to say the least. So as has been the customary process and policy of the board, and as is in our rules and regulations, we're unable to process and issue new licenses and transfers or substitutions between February 28th and May 1st. So if you're here tonight on a new license, on a substitution of officer, or on any sort of change, it's going to have to wait until the renewal period has finished, which is May 1st. With that, I will turn it back to our chief inspector, who can call the first case. Mr. Ford, please.
Thank you, Mr. Praley. Welcome, everybody. Our first case is Frisco Tap House. Frisco Tap House II, LLC. Christopher Swan, managing member. Scott Swan, member. Adam Carton, managing member. Brittany M. Bichelle, bartender. Jimmy Guerrero, manager. Detective Mountcastle, badge number 1155. Detective Middleton, badge number 1061. This is a Class H beer, wine, liquor with entertainment and Sunday license located at 2406 Brandermill Boulevard, Gambrels, Maryland 21054. It is not restricted. And the counts are as follows. 1, violation of the rules and regulations of the Board of Licensed Commissioners for Anne Arundel County. Chapter 4, Section 4.01A, minors, regarding Anne Arundel County Police Report Number 24-704069 by Detective Middleton, number 1061, and Detective Mountcastle, number 1155. Incident dated February 3rd, 2024. 2, violation of alcoholic beverages and cannabis article, annotated Code of Maryland, Title 6, Section 6-304, selling or providing alcoholic beverages to individuals under the age of 21 years. Regarding Anne Arundel County Police Report number 24-704069 by Detective Middleton, badge number 1061, and Detective Mountcastle, badge number 1155. Incident dated February 3rd, 2024. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward and remain standing, and raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. And Detective, we'll start with you. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Detective Mountcastle, Anne Arundel County Police.
Detective Middleton, 1061, Anne Arundel County Police.
Christopher Swan, managing member.
Your address, sir?
Pardon me?
Address?
Of the entity or my personal?
Entity would be fine.
It's the entity 2406 Brandermill Boulevard. Sorry.
Thank you.
Jimmy Guardado. My address 2406 Brandermill Boulevard.
Brittany Beichel. I don't work there anymore, so 327 New Jersey Avenue Northeast.
Thank you.
Scott Swan, member, 2604, Brandonville.
Adam Garten, member, 3024 Hobbs Road, Glenwood, Maryland.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Mr. Swan, you're the one who has the papers in front of you, so I'm assuming you're going to present tonight?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to kind of give you a lay of the land here. Are you guys planning on proceeding forward without an attorney present?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so there's kind of a structure with these procedures. The first is I'm going to ask the detectives to provide the board with a statement of facts. After that has been done, you are going to have the ability to ask the detectives questions based on that statement of facts. Then we're going to see if any of the commissioners have questions only based on the detective statement of facts. There are no questions, great, we'll move along, and we will turn it over to you, and you can present your case in mitigation, okay? Then we'll turn it over to the commissioners to see if there are any questions from them, okay?
Great.
All right. Detective, please provide a statement of facts.
Good evening, Board. Detective Middleton, Anne Arundel County Police. This incident was February 3rd of this year, 2024, approximately 10:30 a.m. in the morning. Detective Mountcastle and I were working Operation Save, conducting alcohol sales compliance checks of retail businesses in Anne Arundel County. We directed a confidential source, 20 years of age subject, who we were able to verify through MVA records, and I do have a certified copy of her driving record to verify her age. She entered the Frisco Tap House located at 2406 Brandermill Boulevard, Gambrels, Anne Arundel County, Maryland. We observed the confidential source enter the restaurant. The CS went into the restaurant, sat at the bar. The CS asked the bartender for a mimosa. Bartender did not ask the CS for identification and served the CS a mimosa drink sitting at the bar. We entered the restaurant and the CS exited. We identified ourselves as police officers and identified the bartender as Brittany Bichel, who's seated over here on the left, from her Maryland driver's license. She advised that she'd been working at the restaurant for about 8 months and she had not had any alcohol awareness training. The manager was located, identified as Mr. Jimmy Guardado. He was advised of the incident. The mimosa was the orange juice mixed with champagne, and it was the champagne was a Wycliffe brand who was presented by the manager. Detective Mountcastle and I recognized through our trained knowledge and experience that this drink was indeed an alcoholic beverage. Photograph was taken of the bartender, her identification, the mimosa drink, and the bottle of champagne. The Anne Arundel County Liquor Board license was hanging on the wall, photograph was taken of that, and a copy of this report was forwarded to the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board. The manager, Mr. Garrido, was polite and cooperative, and the bar was not busy. That would be our statement of facts.
All right, thank you, Detective. Mr. Swan, any questions for the detective based on the statement of fact?
I have no questions to the statement of fact.
Mr. Chairman, any questions?
The only question that I have right offhand is, and by the way, thank you, Ms. Michelli, for showing up, even though you're not employed there anymore. We do appreciate that. And the question comes to mind is, how long did you work for them up until the time of this non-compliance?
Like how long after this happened?
No, from
Beforehand.
the time you were hired up until the time of the incident. How long?
About 8 months.
Okay. All right, thank you. And your manager was on duty with you that evening, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that is Jimmy Garrido,
Correct.
correct? Okay, thank you. No further questions at this time.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions? No questions. Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Swan, we'll turn it over to you. You can go ahead and present your case. If there's any documentation that you want the board to consider, you can hand that forward as well.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to apologize for the incident and apologize for the commission to have to take their time out of their busy schedule to deal with our situation and so forth. It's very unfortunate. We pride ourselves on making sure that we follow all the laws of the county of Anne Arundel. We've been in business for approximately 10 years. Have been fairly upstanding and provided a lot of donations, different things to the county and so forth. One of the things that I have in my packet and I can circulate, I did not bring copies for everybody, is we do have an employee policy, which again I can provide it once I read through things, that actually states on our Frisco policy for all employees that are hired under bar policy that says that servers and bartenders have to ID anyone that appears under the 40 years of age. Staff members who do not properly ID a guest will be terminated on the spot. Another piece of information is after the incident did happen, Brittany, thanks for coming again, was written up and she was terminated that day. So when she said she was not employed, so I do have the write-up as well as the termination letter that's inside of our HR records. Additionally, just as support for the board, I brought time clock and payroll records to prove that she has not been employed and or paid by Frisco Tap House 2 since the date of the incident. Right after the incident, one of the things that I also have in a packet here is that on February the 13th, we did have Hospitality Solutions come in, run through a brand new tip service training for the staff and managers. We are awaiting we have an email letter from them. They haven't issued the actual certificates because they're a little bit behind, but I've got both the paid receipt from them on February 13th as well as emails from them stating that they came in within 10 days to make sure that we absolutely certified everybody after the incident. We take things like this very serious. It's not something that is a common type of an incident and what have you. And instantly after that, Jimmy, our general managers as well as the owners, I knew that day when the incident happened, and we instantly moved forward to make sure that that training and things were taken care of. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Swan. Mr. Chairman, questions?
No questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions? Commissioner Snoops?
My only question would be, what's your trading plan going forward?
The trading plan going forward is ensuring that everybody coming on board, unfortunately we did not in a timely manner provide tips training to Brittany. That's something that we have a fault of. I've already asked my managers as well as my general managers to ensure that anybody that we do hire in is tip certified, get certificates from everybody, and so forth. Again, the next steps probably have actual sign off on our policy. We have a list of policies that I read from you, read from the policy that said that, we require this, otherwise you're being terminated. Just make sure each of the employees follows that we have them sign off on that. So they're, not just given it, but also acknowledge, make positive, acknowledgement that they understand the rules.
Any additional questions from the commissioners? Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Praley. Thank you very much for your presentation. I was going to help you along with the reminder on the TIPS training. What I'm going to do, and I'll explain it in brief before I make a motion, is a lot of times our establishments are given restrictions telling them that they must train their employees with alcohol awareness certificates. You don't have such a restriction on your license. So what I'm going to do is, this is your second offense within, I think, 14 months, 15 months, something like that.
14 or 15.
Yeah. And that's sad because you went a long time without any. What I'm going to do is make a motion, because it's a second offense, for a fine of $1,000 per offense, and you have two charges, so it's $2,000, along with a mandatory restriction requiring you to have all of your employees trained with the alcohol awareness certified programs, which are acceptable. And if you need help with any of the programs or anything, please feel free to give us a call. We're there to help you as well. Okay, that's my motion. Looking for a second. Okay, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Hopefully won't see you again. And thank you all very much for showing up. Ms. Bonelli, thank you also. Have a good day. You're dismissed.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Our next case is Bella Napoli Italian Restaurant, CBC Mountain Road, Inc., Biagio Carinante, President, Pasquale Carinante, Vice President, Carmela Carinante, Secretary Treasurer, Shannon M. Greb, Manager, Milton Gonzalez, Manager, Inspector Ace Chenoweth, Chief Inspector Jim Ford. This is a Class H beer, wine, liquor, music, and Sunday license located at 350G Mountain Road, Pasadena, Maryland, 21122. 1. Violation of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, Chapter 4, Section 4.16, Illegal Conduct, regarding Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, violation notice number 1276 by Inspector Ace Chenoweth, dated February 29th, 2024. 2. Violation of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, Chapter 3, Section 3.05, Sanitation and Safety, regarding the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, violation notice number 1276 by Inspector Ace Chenoweth, dated February 29th, 2024. 3. Violation of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, Chapter 4, Section 4.18, Alterations, regarding the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, violation notice number 1276 by Inspector Ace Chenoweth, dated February 29th, 2024. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward and remain standing.
Right hand. Solemnly declare and affirm on the penalty of perjury, the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Jim Ford, Chief Inspector, Anne Arundel County Liquor Board.
Inspector Ace Chenoweth from the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board.
Shannon Greb, Manager, 350 Fountain Road, Suite G, Pasadena, Maryland, 21122.
Milton Gonzalez, Manager, address is 1201 Highview Drive, Annapolis, Maryland, 21409.
Pasquale Carinante, address 8228 Champion Court, Pasadena, Maryland, Vice President.
Biagio Carinante, President, 1235 Spanish Oak Way, Arundel, Maryland, 21113.
All right, thank you all for being here tonight. The process is going to be almost identical to the last one, except we don't have an officer tonight. We have two inspectors here, one being our chief inspector. I'm going to ask for a recitation of facts. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions based on that recitation of facts. Then we'll see if the board has any questions, and we'll turn the floor over to you, present your case, and we'll see if the board has any questions, okay? All right. And I'm assuming you all wish to proceed forward tonight without the presence of an attorney, correct?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, Chief Inspector Ford, it's my understanding that you're going to be the one presenting the statement of facts tonight, correct?
That's correct, Mr. President.
All right, go right ahead.
Thank you. This is from my report dated February 29th of this year for Bella Napoli. Based on one, Inspector Lacey Ace Chenoweth's report dated February 19th, 2024, attached here two. Two, conversations with establishment manager Milton Gonzalez and establishment contractor Tony Massa, which revealed the alterations were unapproved and no permits had been issued. Three, before and after diagrams of the alterations to the premises, attached here too. And four, confirmation from Anne Arundel County Inspections and Permits that no required permits had been issued. It was determined that the licensee had made unapproved alterations to the premises and that such alterations had not been permitted as required. As a result, I directed Inspector Chenoweth to issue violation number 1277 to the licensee on Thursday, February 29th, 2024. That is the end of the report.
All right, based on that report, any questions for Chief Inspector Ford?
I have one question.
Yeah, Mr. Carnante, go right ahead.
I'm sorry. So the issue at hand was because there was no permits for the alterations. Was it deemed that those permits were required? Because there was no plumbing or electric pulled, from what my understanding was. So
Yes.
Okay.
So it was determined they were required, and it also has to do with the fact that the alterations in and of themselves were not approved prior by the board.
Okay. Thank you.
Any
Welcome.
additional questions for Mr. Ford?
I just want to
Sure.
share something. Before we start all these alterations, I went to office and talked to an
And
office.
this is, Mr. Gonzalez, this is just questions. You're going to have your opportunity to present a case. If you have any questions based on...
Okay, no.
Okay, no?
No, yeah.
Okay. We'll see if the commissioners have
Okay.
any questions. Mr. Chairman, any questions for Mr. Ford?
No questions, Chief. Thank you.
I got one question, actually. One other question.
Okay, let me see if the commissioners have questions first, and then I'll let you
Yes.
ask another question. Okay, Commissioner Duffy, any questions for Mr. Ford?
No question.
Commissioner Duffy, or Commissioner Snoops? Sorry.
Two Duffys?
Two Duffys. Commissioner- All right, well, see, that was fast, so now you can go ahead. And,
Awesome, I
go
love
ahead.
it.
Go ahead and ask your question.
Has Bellinopoli CBC Mountain Road ever been charged with or even given any citation in 21 years of business?
I would have to get back to you on that.
I can confirm that we have not. I just wanted to make sure that that was out.
We,
Okay.
okay,
And, well, it's actually going to be your turn to go ahead and present your case in chief. So, whatever you guys want to do, go ahead and tell the board what's happened. Anything you want to present to the board for consideration, this would be your time. Then we'll see if the commissioners have any questions. Okay.
Okay, first of all, I want you guys to know that I was not trying to do any alterations without you guys know anything. Mr. Wayne knows I came to the office back then I didn't know him. I was talking to, a few people there and telling them what we were doing and what was our plans to do it. And yes, Mr. Wayne did say to me, make sure you get permits if you do this, if you do that. And my thinking was only like floor change, painting, and small things like that was gonna happen. I did went back to the contractor, to Tony, and tell him about it. I said, look, if there's anything we need to do you think you need permits, we gotta get this together. And Mr. Wayne did say to me, make sure you bring me the drawers before and after, whatever you guys did. And it was a misunderstanding right there when he said, make sure you bring it to me. I was thinking, he said to me, bring it to me when it's time for you guys to renew your license, which was about 3 months from there. So I was like trying to take my time to get these things, together for him. But then I received the phone call, I think Ace came over and trying to ask me, what is the permits, what is the drawers you guys were looking, not supposed to bring. It was a misunderstanding. I want to just say I'm sorry about the misunderstanding. But yeah, that was everything. I want to make sure you guys not think that I was trying to do, or we trying to do things behind you guys' back. Now I know for a fact every single thing I want to be doing, I'm going to be coming to you guys. And let you guys know first. You guys, whatever tell me to do, I'm gonna be following whatever you guys, supposed to do. So in order not to be here, with these cases. That was it.
One of the things that I wanted to add, if I could, our original floor plan at the restaurant back in 2001, 2002, when we opened, actually had the bar actually in the same place that it is being put in now. So we had the water, we had the electrical run. So when he says this was definitely a misunderstanding, 100%, we weren't aware that because we weren't doing plumbing, electrical work, anything of significant stature, we didn't believe that it was necessary. Now, obviously, we know differently. But again, after 21 years in business, we haven't so much as even gotten a warning from this board, and we, plead for a little bit of leniency here.
Yeah, we are very sorry what happened, but we do, every time we're doing something, we always try to pull a permit to do stuff like that. But it's, like I say, it's a misunderstanding, and we are very sorry about it. So you guys, and the only thing we try to do in 21 years I'm there, never ever serve somebody alcohol. If I see a little bit dizzy, I send them somewhere. I say, look, you need, maybe I offer them a ride home, because we never try the safety is first thing we issue on our place. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Mr. Chairman, questions?
Just a few. First of all, I am familiar with the establishment. The photos that we have show openings in a wall where there weren't any previously. Is that one of the things that you did in this renovation?
Mm-hmm.
So you, for the sake of conversation, you sawzalled several pass-throughs or openings. That in and by itself requires a building permit, just so you know, for future reference.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Thank
no.
you.
And I recognize that it's difficult, like motor vehicles, to be totally aware of every rule and regulation of the road. And I'm sure it's difficult here to be aware of all the rules and regulations. But like you did, Milton, I'm sorry, Mr. Gonzalez, come in, talk to us, make sure we have an understanding before you do something, and you can avoid a lot of problems.
Yes.
And when the inspector went out, when he took the photos and presented them to us, it was more than just a small thing. And by the way, even though originally the bar was at that location, Mr. Carinanti, it was evidently moved or removed, and then it was put back.
Mm-hmm.
We have no record of you getting permission to do that at that time. So again, and I'm really getting to the fact that you just have to be extremely careful.
Yes, sir.
When you do anything. If you have a liquor license, and this is for everybody, if you have a liquor license and you're not sure whether you should ask permission or what you can and can't do, feel free to call us. All right, and we'll be glad to walk you through this. Now, I do have a couple other questions. One is the general manager, Shannon, I believe it is, right?
Yes.
You're the only person on the manager's agreement?
As of right now, he did apply to be on the manager's agreement.
Okay.
I don't know if it was approved. It was a while ago.
I have not received anything.
I'm sorry.
I thought we submitted the paperwork to have you added as a manager
Okay,
as well.
I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'll ask our secretary. Are we in receipt of it? Do you know? Okay, well, that's fine. Most importantly, Mr. Gonzalez, get on that management agreement, because only Shannon
Yes.
and those people who are the licensees are responsible to be able to answer to anything with the liquor board.
Okay.
So, and I think I mentioned that to you when we talked the first time. It is important, if you're going to represent Mr. Carinanti and his son, you need to be able to have their permission. By you getting on the management agreement, you're getting in writing their permission for you to act on their behalf. Okay? So we're clear with that. I do have one other question. You don't have outdoor service, is that correct? Outdoor service?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have tables outside?
I mean, they're stored out there right now, but there's no table
There's no
seat,
table.
there's no chairs. Oh, you guys got.
We got rid of them.
Okay, so yeah.
Okay. Well, just
There was
want to
a-
make sure if you want it, you need to apply for it separately, okay?
Yes.
All right. I have no further questions at this time.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions? Anything you all want to add?
Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, thank you very much. I do believe this is an error, if you will, in the fact that you weren't aware of it, or perhaps the communications. But nevertheless, you didn't get the permits which you were required. Do you know if you've got those
Oh, I
permits yet?
apologize. Yes, I do want to add that. The permits have been applied for and everything's at the county level.
Is on the health department
Health
side, they just have to review
Mhm.
and, but we
That's what
haven't done nothing until
We've
we got
stopped.
everything.
And thank you. And that's a perfect example of why we make you get those approvals, especially if you're a restaurant and the health department's involved.
Yep.
We want to make sure that we don't govern the building inspections. We just oversee the fact that you're required to have them. And it goes back to inspections and services. It goes back to the health department, to the fire marshal, all those agencies. And once they give us a clearance and they will notify us, then of course you could, proceed. Now, is your business open now at all?
Yeah, it's open.
Okay. So the areas that are petitioned off are separate from your seating and your day-to-day use, right? Okay. Very good. I have no further questions when it comes to that. So, all right. What I'm going to do, because like I said, I do believe it's an error in your ways as far as not knowing, and hopefully in the future, Mr. Gonzalez, especially if you're going to manage or run, you be aware of this. You guys have been in business for a long time and have been very reputable, and I am aware of the fact that you haven't had any complaints and violations, so that does count. But you are guilty of the failure of these counts. And with that, what I'm going to do is make a motion that you be fined $250 for each of the 3 charges. So it's a total of $750 plus whatever the administration cost is, or court cost is, or commonly known. All right, that's my motion. Looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you. And I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so you'll be contacted by the administration as to when to pay it and how to do it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us.
Would we probably be, they'll let us know, but would we probably be able to just bring it in when we bring in the check for the renewal?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Would we possibly be able to bring that check in with the renewal check, since we've already been processed?
I don't think it'll be ready, will it, Mr. Aronson?
It will not be ready.
Yeah, it takes a little time. We have to wait for a
Okay,
transcript.
no worries.
We have to wait for a transcript from the court stenographer, and then we'll set it up for you.
We
Okay?
appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, good night, and lots of luck.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
seeing you, Mr. Caranoff.
Okay, just a reminder that both Dave & Buster's and La Fogata have been postponed, and our next case is for London Town Wine and Spirits, Waterman's Tavern, London Town LLC.
Wait, reading.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman.
Thank you.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please approach the table and remain standing.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly declare and affirm on the penalty of perjury, testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Chief Inspector Jim Ford, Anne Arundel County Liquor Board.
Vincent Pelletier, Anne Arundel County Liquor Board.
Deputy Chief Ralston, Anne Arundel County Liquor Board.
My name is Brian Lyman, Lyman, 221 Duke and Gloucester Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Philip Ricker, 1303 Hollyman Road, Severno Park, Maryland. I'm a principal. Jackie Ricker, 1303 Hollowbin Road.
Sean Eco, 1906 Ridgeville Road.
Isis Lakitsky, 1906 Ridgeville Road.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Ava Ellett, 3953 School Street, Trap.
Andrew Ellett, 3953 School Street, Trap.
And are you guys here for or
Prior
against?
attendance, yeah.
Okay, against. Can you sign in on this sheet just so we have a record here?
And Inspector Matthews?
George Matthews, 2011 D as in David, Commerce Drive, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I'd like to apologize for not having enough seats up front, but for those that wish to speak, you can sit in the first row, and when it's your turn, we'll be glad to call you up and put you in front of a speaker, okay? Thank you.
All right, and because we do have members of the public, it's not on. Because we do have members of the public here tonight, you are going to be able to testify in opposition. I understand we have 4 people, but keep in mind we're going to limit testimony to 2 minutes per person, and you don't need to repeat something that somebody else has already said. We have a lot of other cases that we need to get through tonight. Don't want to rush you, but we are going to cap your testimony to 2 minutes. Okay. All right. All right. And Chief Inspector Ford, I understand you're providing us with a statement of facts tonight.
That's correct, Mr.
I have a
Fraley.
preliminary request or inquiry.
Sure.
Have the witness statements been provided pursuant to the board's rules and regulations? Rule 2.01 A2, public participation shall be limited to written statements submitted by mail or email, which must be received within 5 days prior to the hearing.
2.01, say it again, Mr. Lyman.
2.01 A2.
Look. Mr. Lyman, I think that only applies for a Zoom hearing with respect to procedure. If you look at if you look in the back under our policies, Section 6, the board reserves the right to limit presentation time afforded to any person appearing at the hearing and will not allow testimony and or evidence which the board does not believe has relevance. So I believe that the section you're referring to pertains to the board's regulations with respect to Zoom hearings. So I believe we have received some written comment, and was that provided to council? Okay.
I just want to make the record absolutely
Sure.
clear whether
Understood.
the statements were provided by the witnesses in advance of the hearing in accordance with what purports to be the board's rule. So,
Okay, sure, absolutely, and we can-
certainly the board can do what it
Yep,
desires to do
yep.
about taking a testimony or not. I just want to make the record clear whether the statements were
Understood.
provided or not.
Understood. All right, Mr. Ford.
So this is a report dated February 27th, 24, for an activity that was dated February 23rd of 24. This licensee has been the subject of numerous complaints over the course of the last year from their next-door neighbor, Mr. Sean Eco, located immediately to the west of the establishment. See the attached map. Many complaints regarding disorderly conduct have been made by Mr. Eco since May 2023. As such, I've remained in direct, constant contact with both Mr. Eco and the licensee, Mr. Phil Ricker, as his designated manager of the establishment and his designated manager of the establishment, Mr. Keith Tabor, to communicate each complaint and attempt to remedy the situation for both parties over time. There came a point when I offered to bring the parties together to discuss possible solutions, but complainant Mr. Eco felt it would, at that point, be unproductive. Over time, I suggested improvements to the licensee, and the licensee seemed to be working in good faith during this process. During my discussions with the licensee, they agreed to make the following improvements: better direct communication to patrons regarding patron activity in the parking and surrounding community, better communications with patrons on social media regarding behavior on the licensed premises and as they exit it into the surrounding community, improved staff awareness in connection with monitoring licensees' security cameras for disorderly conduct in the parking lot, increased staff awareness on the need to not overserve alcohol to customers, the employment of a doorman on weekend evenings to ensure no patrons left the building with open containers of alcohol and to monitor conduct in the parking lot. Indoor monitoring of patrons exiting the building was witnessed and documented during surveillance by Deputy Chief Sean Ralston, Inspectors Vin Pelletier, and Inspector George Matthews on the evening of January 20th, 2024. Reports are attached here too. Despite these efforts, and according to both the neighbors' further complaints and the complainant's home security footage, disorderly conduct seems to continue presently in the parking lot, occasionally spilling over into the community. Specifically, on February 26, 2024, the complainant provided me with the footage from complainant's home security cameras, which unfolded as follows. At approximately 11:33 p.m. on February 23, 2024, a patron appears to exit the licensed establishment and, shortly thereafter, appears to be relieving himself in public on the licensed premises against the fence dividing the properties. The individual is obscured by the fence, but then this exchange between the patron and complainant occurs. The complainant, located at his residence and understanding what the patron appears to be doing, attempts to get the patron's attention by whistling, to which the patron replies at 11:35 and 18 seconds, "Patron, it's a long P, sorry." 11:35 and 22 seconds, complainant responds, "Disgusting." 11:35 and 38 seconds, this is PM. The complainant raises his voice towards the individual at the fence to say, "Piss inside." 11:35 and 46 seconds, the patron responds loudly, "I'm sorry, I had another long one. I'm sorry," followed by, "You're so gay" at 11:35, 52 seconds PM. Other videos provided to me by the complainant since last May and made available to the board for their review appear to show patrons urinating on and off the licensed established premises. Admittedly, it is difficult to confirm whether these individuals exited from the establishment and their activities are obscured, yet it's fairly obvious what is occurring. However, the video from February 23rd certainly lends credence to the notion that these previous patrons were all captured on video urinating outdoors, including one mother and young son who appear to come from the direction of the tavern, and the mother directing her son to relieve himself on the complainant's property against the fence. Based on the above video from the evening of February 23rd, 2024, and in the context of the other videos previously shared by the complainants, a citation for violation of public welfare was issued, which in part states that licensees shall operate their establishment in such a manner as to, quote, avoid disturbing the peace, safety, health, quiet, and general welfare of the community, end quote. And that ends the report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ford. Mr. Lyman, questions?
Mr. Ford, you indicated a public welfare violation was issued. That's Rule 3.09 of the board's rules. Is that correct?
I'd have to look it up, which I can do. I can take your word for it.
Well, I'm asking you the question. Is that the citation has been issued against my clients?
I believe that's correct, but if I didn't write the paragraph number in here, then I'd have to look it up.
Well, I'm looking at the actual violation notice dated 2/29. Do you have that in front of you?
I do, yep. Correct.
So it's Rule 3.09. What date was that rule violated or allegedly violated by my clients?
February 23rd.
Okay. Are there any other dates that you're alleging or your team, your staff members are alleging a violation of the public welfare occurred besides February 23rd, 2024?
And I have a correction. I'm looking at my own report here. It was specifically on February 26, 2024. So there appears to be a discrepancy between the activity date and the date that the footage is from.
So, Chief Inspector Ford, can you tell me the date that my client is alleged to have breached Rule 3.09?
It appears February 26.
Okay, so February 26, 2024 is the date that what exactly happened that breached the public welfare?
A patron is seen urinating on the fence.
Okay, but you admit that the patron is speculation. In your report, I think you said that you don't know whether this individual is a patron of my client's establishment, correct?
So it appears that the patron exited the building, but could I say 100% for sure? No. 98% for sure? Maybe.
Okay. And did you observe any of this conduct individually or personally?
No.
Okay. This is just from your review of a video that was provided to you by whom?
By the complainant, Mr. Eco.
Okay. And when did you review the video from Mr. Eco?
I think it was within a couple days.
Okay, it couldn't have been on February 26th, is it?
No. It would have been after that. I can't remember exactly.
Your report says specifically on February 26th, the complaint provided me with a footage from the complainant's home security cameras. So did you review it on the 26th, the same day you got it, or not?
Can't recall.
Okay. And I think that you tried to make a correction, then you said this incident occurred on the 26th, when it actually occurred on the 23rd, right?
So I would need to look at the footage. Apparently, I have got a typo. So I believe it was the 26th. I don't believe it's the activity date of the 23rd.
Okay.
So I would just need to confirm the security footage.
Your report mentions activities that happened at other times or allegedly happened at other times on my client's premises, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it actually mentions those as a potential basis for why you issued this citation, correct?
Context, I would say.
Okay. But those facts are not to be decided by the board tonight, correct?
I think that they are relevant to the actual violation.
Okay. And why are they relevant?
Because it provides context of other activities that have happened on the premises that demonstrate a pattern.
But you're not here to prove that those activities happened on the premises or not, right?
I'm here to demonstrate that the activity that was on the tape from the 26th did happen on the premises.
So clearly you believe these prior activities happened, but you just want the board to take your say-so that they happened, correct?
No, they've seen the videos, so they can make their own judgment.
Oh, so the board has seen evidence of this alleged violation that has not been presented at this hearing?
Yes, and you have that as well, Mr. Lyman.
Okay, but that video is not in evidence at this hearing, correct?
Mr. Praley?
It's not in evidence at this hearing. Nobody's presented it.
How many videos has the board reviewed that they're going to use to judge my client?
12.
12 videos. What are the dates of those videos?
I can provide them.
Well, now's your
I
time
have
to
to get back to
testify.
you.
Provide the dates of the videos that the board has reviewed outside of this public hearing.
I'd be happy to introduce them.
Sir, I'm here cross-examining you because you're making allegations against my client. The pending question is, please identify the dates of the videos that the board has reviewed outside of the hearing tonight.
I've already provided those to you.
I'm asking you to testify to what the dates of the videos are that the board has reviewed in your personal
Okay, I'll tell
knowledge.
you. So, Mr. Lyman, I would need to open each one of these videos individually to check the timestamp and date stamp. I'd be happy to do that. I'd also be happy to get that to you at a later time.
Now is the time to present your case, Mr. Ford, Chief Inspector. The case against my clients, I thought, was about the incident that occurred on February 23rd. But now you're telling me it's about 12 videos, which I presume are all taken on different dates, that you have used in your discretion to charge my clients with this violation. Is that correct?
It's not correct. I only charged him with the violation, the licensee with the violation from the one night.
Okay. So what is the import and why are these other videos relevant at all if we're only here to discuss what happened on February 23rd?
And I think I answered that question when I said that they were introduced and sent to you and others to demonstrate a pattern of activity on the premises.
Right. So what is this pattern that you're alleging that is relevant tonight?
Urination by many other individuals on the premises, some off the premises.
Okay. Have you ever personally witnessed anybody urinate at my client's premises?
Only on the videotape.
Okay. So you haven't ever been there in person and seen anybody urinate on a fence, in a urinal, anywhere, correct?
I have not. That's correct.
Okay. Has any of your staff witnessed anybody urinate in person?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay. Have you sent them out with instructions to try to observe individuals urinating at the premises?
I've sent them out with instructions to observe any sort of disorderly conduct.
Okay. And those reports, I think you attached also to your report, although you haven't introduced those. Those reports come back that the doorman was actually stopping and preventing people from carrying open containers out of the premises, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Are there any other charges other than the urination by an individual who's alleged to be a patron of my clients that are part of the violation that is being presented tonight to the board?
No.
So we're here about one incident of urination on the 23rd of February 2024 and no other incidents. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What law, if this gentleman was urinating, is violated?
By violating the rules and regulations of the Board of Licensed Commissioners, that is illegal conduct.
Okay, and there's also a violation for illegal conduct that you've charged, correct?
Yes, that's what I just mentioned.
Okay, that's Rule 4.16, correct?
Correct.
Is there anything different between those two charges?
No.
Okay, so essentially, it's basically one charge based on public welfare, safety, sanitation. What's the problem with having someone urinate on my client's fence outside the business?
Are you suggesting, Mr. Lyman, that that is somehow acceptable public behavior?
I want to know, Mr. Ford, what the problem is with urination outside at 11:30 p.m. on 2/23/24.
I would be happy to opine on that. Public urination is something that is just unacceptable in any community, in any establishment in this county, in this world. It's just not okay.
Okay. But this has only happened the one time that we're here to adjudicate tonight, correct?
I leave that up to the videos because
Okay,
I think.
the videos are not in evidence, correct? You haven't submitted them, correct?
May I submit those, Mr. Crayley?
You can move to admit them.
Yes, I'd like to move to admit all of those videos, please.
And I'd object there, hearsay.
Yeah, I think that the only one, let me confer with the chairman really quickly.
Mr. Lyman, after consulting with counsel, I see the relevance of what you're talking about. If we have the video on the date that we're talking about the violation, I could see where that one would be pertinent, and can you provide that, Chief?
I can. Yeah, absolutely.
Then I could.
Yeah, but only one contains what is in the report.
Yeah, I'm only interested in them admitting the one that is relevant to the date in which Mr. Lyman is speaking of. And if we have that, then I think we should.
Yep.
I'll
Okay.
renew my objection. It's hearsay. It's not properly
Yep,
authenticated.
the hearsay will be overruled. We'll admit the video of the night in question that contains the text that's in the report. And you have a copy of it.
I've reviewed a copy.
Okay.
I don't know that anybody in the audience could understand what we're talking about because they haven't reviewed the video here at the hearing.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, we don't have the capability to play the video up there. Mr. Aronson, do you want to?
Yeah, but I can play it on my laptop.
You can play it on the laptop. Let's go ahead and play it on the laptop.
Yep.
Consult with Chief Inspector.
So I can confirm that activity date is the correct date. It was the 23rd.
not the 26. I apologize for the error. And
Mr. Lyman, have your clients seen this? Do you want us to bring the player down for him? Okay.
I believe they've seen it. Thank you,
Okay,
Mr. President.
sure. Just we're working on a small screen here because we don't have the capability to play anything on
Did
the
you
big
want me
screen.
to play it from here?
Sure.
Well, if they can see it.
Disgusting. This inside.
Mr. Ford, do you know who the individual in that video is?
I do
that's on
not.
the other side of the fence?
No.
Okay. Did you inquire with the licensees as to try to identify the individual?
I did not.
Okay,
I
why
was-
not?
I didn't think it was relevant.
Okay, so you reviewed the video on the 26th, correct?
I'm still not sure of the day I actually reviewed it.
Okay, well, it must have been before you wrote this report, correct?
Yeah, so sometime between the video and, yeah.
The report is dated on the front page 2/27/24.
Yep.
Does that narrow it down for you?
Yes.
It looks like you submitted the report on February 29th, 2024. Is that correct?
Correct.
So sometime between February 23rd and February 29th, 2024, you reviewed this video, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you did not reach out to the licensees to try to identify the individual in the video?
I did not.
Okay. Now, previously, you'll agree with me that you had been in communication with licensees and with Mr. Tabor, their manager, in order to attempt to police the activities in the parking lot, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And in your report, you indicate that the licensees had agreed to make better direct communications to the patrons regarding patron activity in the parking area and the surrounding community.
Correct.
Okay. And in the time leading up to this report, do you have any knowledge that that occurred?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give the board an example or the facts related to why you had that determination, that they had a better communication with the patrons about the activity in the parking lot?
Yeah, I was in pretty regular contact with Keith Tabor, and he told me some of the things that they were going over with the staff to better educate them on not over-serving, talking to the patrons about turning the temperature down on the situation there. And specifically, he shared social media posts with me that were reaching out to the community saying, hey, look, we live in a community, let's keep it down, that kind of stuff.
Okay. And your second bullet point in your report suggests that social media regarding their behavior on the licensed premises and they exited needed to be advertised and that they needed to improve their patrons' awareness of the relations needed with the community, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that dovetails, I think, or reinforces what you just mentioned as the first bullet point. The third bullet point says improve staff awareness in connection with monitoring licensees' security cameras for disorderly conduct in the parking lot. Are you aware of any measures taken by the licensees in order to monitor disorderly conduct in their parking lot?
Not necessarily. There was a lot of, after the fact checking the videotape. I wasn't aware of any sort of in the moment watching the cameras. I know that they had them available to them, but I can't testify that they actually did it.
Okay, so we watched the whole video of this particular incident. What do you contend that my staff or my client's staff should have done in order to intervene in this situation to prevent the urination from happening?
Well, I think that in my conversations with Mr. Ricker and with Keith, I had suggested that they post somebody in the parking lot, some sort of an attendant who could witness these things and protect not only from people taking open containers outside, but they could, monitor this sort of disorderly conduct. And I do commend them for putting somebody at the door of the establishment inside it. That seemed to be very effective. Unfortunately, it didn't work for the outside, obviously.
Okay, so in your view, there should have been an employee stationed outside at 11:35 p.m. in order to monitor the parking lot, correct?
Absolutely, correct.
Okay. And was that a suggestion that you made to them that they ought to staff the parking lot up until a particular time in the evening?
I wasn't very specific because I want the licensee to be able to run his business the way he sees fit, but that would have to come with somebody in the parking lot. But I didn't mandate that he do that.
Okay,
it was a strong suggestion.
So you suggested it only, and you did not mandate that there be an individual employee stationed in the parking lot until any hour certain into the evening, correct?
Correct, but I think it's safe to say that had they done that, we wouldn't be here this evening.
Well, you'd agree that that's speculation, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any facts or I guess, details to relate to the board about the increased staff awareness of the need not to overserve alcohol to the customers and how that's pertinent to this issue before the board?
The complainants had said that they felt that customers were being overserved. I had seen videos from the complainant where people were clearly inebriated. Obviously, I wasn't there, but I think anybody looking at these videos would see that. So I emphasized that with the licensee, and to their credit, they acted immediately. Mr. Tabor communicated to me that they had a team meeting and that they went over it, and I'll take him at his word.
Right. We watched the video. Did you make a determination about whether the person in that video was overserved or inebriated?
Which video?
In the video we just watched tonight.
And I'm sorry, repeat the question?
Was that individual in that video overserved or inebriated in your view?
Unclear. In my opinion, yes, but maybe not overserved, but inebriated. So fine line, right? But in my opinion, yeah, I think, somebody pissing on a fence in a public place has probably had a few too many.
Okay, you'd agree with me that the licensed establishment is private property, correct?
Correct.
Okay. As is the neighbor's yard, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have anything else to relate on the employment of a doorman? I think you mentioned it briefly. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to the board about what you know personally about their addition of a doorman and monitoring alcohol, open containers leaving the premises?
No.
Okay. You know what day of the week February 23rd was?
I do not.
You know what day of the week February 26th was?
I could look it up. Do you?
Thank you, Chief Inspector. I don't have any further questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman. Mr. Chairman, questions of Mr. Ford?
Mr. Ford, besides this one particular incident where the urination supposedly took place, were you involved in other complaints or anything particular in reference to this establishment?
Objection, relevance.
I'm sorry.
Objection, relevance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be sustained right now, but
Yep, no, that's
we're just
fine.
here on one.
Yeah, I'll withdraw.
Just on one particular
Just the one.
incident on this one particular day.
My apologies, Mr. Lehman.
Any additional questions of
No additional questions at this time.
Commissioner Duffy? Do you have any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Snoops, do you have any questions?
No.
All right. So right now, Mr. Lyman, before you present your client's case, I'm going to hear from the members of the public. Okay. There are 4 individuals from the public who wish to testify. Just make sure, as we stated earlier, your testimony is going to be limited to 2 minutes each. And if somebody's already said something that you're planning on saying, no need to say it again, okay? And we also want to make sure that we keep public comment very relevant to the specific incidences of this night. We're here tonight on one particular violation for one specific incident. Does everybody understand that? Yes, sir?
I actually did have a question about that. I have reported many videos and pictures to essentially no avail. I was just kind of curious as to what would happen with those.
We can't get into that tonight, sir. We're really just here on the one particular incident with the one particular video. Okay, that's what the report suggests. That's what the report writes up. So we're going to have to limit to that. Okay. If you do want to talk about other videos or other instances, there are other people you can talk to. But for the purposes of tonight's proceeding, it's just for this particular one. Okay.
All right.
All right, so just give us your full name and address again for the record, and you can go ahead and begin your presentation. I believe we have a clock somewhere here, too.
Sure thing. My name is Sean Eco. I'm at 1906 Ridgeville Road. I'd like to thank the board and inspectors for doing their part to keep this community safe from alcoholics and total degenerates. I'm 31 years old. I was private first class in the United States Marine Corps. I used to bartend, bar back, and serve liquor in a few different establishments in this state and county. I received my tip certification as well as my alcohol law education and regulatory training certification as well. This establishment owner, Mr. Ricker, has made it pretty much all but impossible for a thriving family to call this place safe, which is the sole reason I'm actually selling my house. I'm a new property owner, and it's been 2 years of dealing with these problems on a near weekly basis. Like I said, I've reported many times, but things happen. So yeah, the problem started the very first day we started moving in. 2 regular alcoholics blocked our driveway, and we had to go into the bar to actually get them to move their cars. After the first year of problems, I reached out to the board with many videos, and like I said, about how poor this establishment is handling their patrons. After that, retaliation started happening immediately from the owner, Mr. Ricker himself, and that was immediately after Mr. Ford stepped in. He's tried blocking our cameras numerous times from capturing specific events from happening. He's also drilled 3-inch deck screws through our fence at eye level, mind you, into the fence to block our cameras. Then he's decided to report many different things to the county, just out of pure retaliation, like our fence being too close to the shed, or the lie that we stole property from the county. Parents aren't comfortable raising their kids in these type of conditions, especially given, broken glass, urination, drug bags, condoms, things along those lines. And that's all the kinds of things we find living next door. The stench alone from musky beer piss is pretty repulsive, and honestly, it's kind of sad that you haven't done anything about this in the past. It's been about 4 years, and the fact that, you've gone back to block our cameras from reporting these incidents to the liquor board or the police is pretty indicative that you don't want to change these kind of scenarios from happening, and the fact that you don't even live near the bar suggests that you don't really care.
All right, I'm sorry, that's 2 minutes right
Sure
there
thing.
for you. Mr. Lyman, do you have questions?
Mr. Shanks, you bought your house for $330,000 from Andrew Ellett in March 2022, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you're selling your house, correct?
Solely because of the problems because of this bar.
But it's correct that you've got a contract on your house, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and your sales price is what?
$395.
Okay, and have you disclosed these issues to your buyers that you have with your neighbor?
I don't believe it's relevant.
Do you have anything to say about what happened on February 23rd, 2024?
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting how your customers do this on a near weekly basis.
Okay.
Nothing is done about it.
Sir, did you observe the individual leave my client's establishment?
I did.
Okay, and what time was that?
I don't know. It's in the video. Timestamp's at the top right. You have it. You can see it yourself.
Okay, what time did my client's patron leave the establishment?
I don't know. I have about 70 videos and pictures I have to go through with incidents happening. There's too many to keep track of.
Okay. Clearly, you're not getting along with my client, correct?
I tried. I tried very hard, in fact.
And you don't believe that there's any solution that can be worked out with my client, correct?
Considering he's a psychopath, I don't believe so.
Billy?
No further questions.
All right. Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Who's next? Name and address again, please.
Name is Isis Lakitsky, 1906 Ridgeville Road, Edgewater.
Okay, give me 1 second here. I think we were having some... You got it? Okay. Ready? Go right ahead.
Good evening. My name is Isis, current owner of 1906. Living next to Waterman's has been, for lack of a better word, hell. I've been targeted, bullied, and harassed by this bar's patrons and employees. I've been blocked from entering and exiting my own property since day one of ownership. I've had people trespass, drink, and loiter in and around my driveway and property. Patrons of Waterman's have repeatedly disregarded the neighborhood by parking up the whole street, littering beer bottles, beer cans, solo cups with beer in them, and believe it or not, condoms. Patrons have intentionally on numerous occasions also thrown and placed beer bottles, beer cans, and literal beer pint glasses into my private property. Patrons and employees constantly pee in the parking lot and on our fence. It is a daily occurrence. It is disgusting and disturbing. I have been defamed by Waterman's. I have been called, labeled the crazy bitch, all because I want myself, my family, and my property to be left alone. I have been accused of committing a crime that I did not commit. I'm assuming it was in retaliation to my husband reaching out to the liquor board. I had to hire a criminal defense attorney, and I have been acquitted of these accused crimes. I've been intentionally made to feel unsafe in my own home. I constantly feel like I have to look over my shoulder. I felt the need to buy a taser for my own personal safety. I also have put off having children due to the unsafe environments that Waterman's has created. No one should feel this way in their own home, but I am not surprised by this place anymore. Waterman's is filled with vile, emotionally abusive alcoholics. They are the reason why my husband and I have decided to move. Lastly, CEO Philip Ricker Jr. has established aggressive behavior by constantly defacing our fence by putting up illegal liquor signs to block our security cameras and sticking screws through our fence that point into our driveway with obvious lack of care for our safety. In my humble opinion, instead of trying to hide their illegal activity, Mr. Ricker should seek therapy and a mental health evaluation. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Lyman.
Ms. Shanks, you're co-owner of this property, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you acknowledge that you bought the property for $330,000 in 2002?
Correct.
And you knew Waterman's
2022.
Tavern was located there, correct?
Correct.
And you'd agree with Mr. Eco's testimony that the property is currently under contract to be sold?
Correct.
Okay. And it sounds to me like you're frustrated with my clients as well?
Of course.
Okay, and do you believe there's any chance of resolving your issues with them in a civil manner or in a agreement?
Legally, it's kind of over and done with after I've been taken to court and defamed. I'm kind of done with them.
Okay, I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you both. Now, sorry, if you guys could just go sit in the front row, we're going to have the other two members testify. And again, remember, if you've already heard a series of things that have allegedly transpired, no need to repeat them. Appreciate you being here. Just go ahead and give us your name and address, and go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name's Ava Ellett. I live at 3953 School Street in Trapp, Maryland, about over an hour from here. And I found out about this hearing yesterday, so I hope that shows how important this was to me. I want to start by saying that my husband and I purchased 1906 Arundel Road in June of 2019 for $260,000, if that matters. And we sold it in March of 2022 to the current tenants who are here. We did supply some photos of events that were really bothering us to Chief Inspector Wayne Harris. But as new parents during the pandemic, trying to juggle working in daycare, we didn't have the bandwidth to put up the cameras like the current tenants did. I really wish we would have been able to do so. But I can say that they showed me these videos months ago for some of the prior offenses, and then recently these videos. And it's exactly what we dealt with while we lived there. And it's also the reason that we moved. While I lived there, I witnessed on at least 10 occasions. I don't want to overestimate because I know I agreed to tell the truth, but I didn't write every one of them down because they were so common. At least 10 instances of individuals leaving the back door, meaning the kitchen of Waterman's, or the side door, so likely patrons and maybe staff, I'm not sure, urinate on the fence. The urine would go through the slats. I had a vegetable garden and a raised bed. I had to stop gardening because I didn't feel that I could consume the vegetables that were there. I called the police for it on at least one occasion. They did show up and they did find the individual. I can't remember the date exactly because this has been so far behind us, but the police did tell me that they wrote a report for that individual who was actually urinating in my driveway. And when I asked him to stop, he said, "I'm just peeing." And I said, well, that's the problem. I think anyone suggesting that urinating through the slats of a fence onto someone's grass or property is where someone's baby crawls is reprehensible. Things seemed to quiet down after I contacted the liquor board in 2021.
That's 2 minutes.
I'm so
sorry. No,
Do you want to finish it?
It's perfect. Hold on, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Lyman for some
Oh, yeah,
questions
sure.
if he has some, and then we can let.
So, Ms. Ellett, everything that you related happened prior to March 2022, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, thank you, sir. Go ahead, name and address before you get started.
Sure. Andrew Ellett, 3953 School Street in Trapp, Maryland. So I'm just going to finish the statement real quick. Things seemed to quiet down after we contacted the liquor board at the advice of local law enforcement before we moved. I sincerely hope that things have gotten better, but it seems like it hasn't. It makes me very sad. I didn't feel safe raising our daughter there. So, basically my statement would be that, the only reason we're here today is because you have proof of this. And I think the only way that they're going to stop is if they have real consequences. That's it. Because, whether or not they're going to control their patrons is the job of the business. I realize that they're not the people peeing on the fence, but they're the people serving alcohol to the people who are. So that's my statement. That's why we moved.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman.
Mr. Ellett, you don't have any knowledge of what happened on February 23rd this year, do you?
I've seen the video. That's my knowledge.
That's the extent of your knowledge?
That's the extent of my knowledge. That's correct.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, thank you all for coming out. All right, Mr. Lyman, we'll turn it over to you. You can present your client's case. If you want to call witnesses, go right ahead. If you have any evidence that you want to introduce, go right ahead.
The board's indulgence. Let me. I did have a folder with my. I'm going to ask Mr. Ricker if he would identify, and I'll pass these exhibits up to the board, each of the photographs. Should have enough copies there. Ms. Ricker, could you go through what's going to be licensees number 1 and explain what's shown in the photographs one by one, please?
Yes, the first photograph is a sign, no food, no drinks beyond this point. Below that is another sign that says parking, back parking lot under video surveillance. That's going out our door into the side parking lot. The next sign is on the fence that the alleged person went to the bathroom on. These signs have been here for years, 3-4 years. Another sign with the camera on the same fence.
That's on the third page, correct?
Yes. This is a new security camera I had installed on the back parking lot about 9 months ago. The last page, I'm sorry, the second to last page is a new security light to light up the back parking lot. So when you're in parking, you're not inclined to go to the bathroom since it's more light. There's always been light back there, but I added more. The last page is a video monitor I put behind the bar so the bartenders could actually see the back parking lot and monitor that. Below that is an incident report. Where we ever have an incident, we document all the people involved. If we know them, if the police were called, we write that down. And I didn't bring them, but I have 2 or 3 back there that happened prior, just to keep record of the patron. And if we catch that patron doing this, they're banned.
Okay.
I can only.
Mr. Rickard, did you receive any communication from Mr. Ford immediately after February 23rd, 2024 about this incident?
The peeing on the fence, yes.
Okay. What communication did you get from Chief Inspector Ford about this incident?
A cell phone call.
Okay. Do you recall when that was approximately in relation to the incident?
Maybe a day or 2 days after it happened in the
Okay.
morning.
Did you take any steps to try to identify the individual shown in
Yes,
the video that we saw tonight?
Keith and I, and Heath, who's another one of my guys, tried to identify the 2 people. We couldn't. We could barely see him in the first place. And from the indoor, we couldn't see him either, so no.
And Mr. Rickard, I think you mentioned it in passing, but I just want to highlight, what is your policy if you were able to identify the individual shown in the video who was actually shown to be or proved to be urinating?
They're banned.
Okay, what does that entail? Explain to the board.
They're
what
barred
that
from the property.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
And how do you enforce that?
The next time we see them, we bar them from the property, and if they get back to the property, we just call Anne Arundel County, and Anne Arundel County comes and takes them.
Okay, and you're talking about the police then?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever made phone calls to the police to remove individuals from your property?
In the past, there would be maybe 1 or 2 fights or something like that, and then we'd have to call the police to kind of get those people out of there. And we actually, when we first opened, we actually had a banned list, which probably 50 people on the list. Now it's gone. I mean, that was years ago.
Okay. And Mr. Ricker, how long have you been the licensee at this establishment?
Well, you got to understand, Waterman's is connected to the liquor store, so the liquor store's been there for about under the license about 15 to 17 years, and then we built Waterman's. It was something before Waterman's, so I think Waterman's is 11 years. I think so, 11, 12 years.
Okay. And Mr. Praley, I'd like to move in the photos that Mr. Ricker identified.
Sure, absolutely. Those will be respondents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I believe 6.
Okay. Additionally, my office delivered with a cover letter additional exhibits. I'd like to move those in also.
All right, those will be admitted as respondents 7. I'm assuming, Mr. Lyman, just so I have this correct, it starts with the SRYA fundraiser.
That's correct. It's a whole
Okay.
package of, and I'll just have Mr. Ricker explain what those documents are very briefly.
And that'll be 7 through 12.
All these are just, obviously I give these to my accountant for write-offs, but they're all fundraisers we do with the schools, the basketball, the AAU. We have the fundraisers at Waterman's. We donate to the school. I actually donated to Knights of Columbus today. They had a raffle. I gave her a gift card to Waterman's. So people in the neighborhood love us. Everyone loves us, except the people that were on my left. That's what it boils down to.
Mr. Ricker, could you also talk about, I think a couple of the other exhibits that maybe I didn't have a copy of here were certificates. Could you identify what those certificates are?
The alcohol awareness, I think so.
I think they were awards,
Awards
actually.
every year. So every year, I believe it started about 3 years ago, the liquor board now will give you an award if you pass their stings and someone, I guess the secretary comes by and gives you the award. But I have 2 of those. For the last 2 years, we've been alcohol compliant, which is great because they used to not do that. So if you ever got a, I'm not telling you guys like you don't know, but.
So, Mr. Ricker, could you explain, in your view, sort of the dialogue that's been occurring between Mr. Tabor, yourself, and Chief Inspector Ford about this allegation of habitual issues at the rear of your premises?
So it started, I don't know, 8 months ago, and I got a call from Jim, and he wanted, I believe it was, I had a structure outside, and the neighbors called the county, the zoning board, and I had a county guy come by, and it ended up being, I had to take it down. So I think I talked to Mr. Harris, and I took that down because there's no permit. But and then Jim called me about a violation or something that occurred. And I believe we had it on camera, so I gave it to Keith, and we addressed every single complaint that Jim gave to us, viewed our camera, and I believe 99% of the times that all these complaints happened, it wasn't an excuse, but it was kind of forgiven. It wasn't really anything that happened that shouldn't have happened. Like, if we have a patron that is overserved by accident, we don't overserve our patrons. I remember one of the videos was a guy stumbling out, and Keith was working that night, and he ran out there. It's not on video. He ran out there and grabbed the guy, brought him back in, and we called a cab for him. So all these videos you see are just sections and sections and sections. You don't get the whole story. I'm not saying someone didn't pee on our fence, and it's my fence, to be honest with you. We don't like that. I mean, this is what I do for a living. I don't take this lightly.
Mr. Ricker, you heard Chief Inspector Ford express that you should have had a staff member in the parking lot last night, or the night in question. Do you have a view on that, or is there anything you want to relate to the board about that?
We have a staff member sit by the side door every night, make sure no one takes the beer outside or no one's being loud. And we've had the police come and because they said it was loud, and in their report they say you could hear pin drop. We're not loud. It's not a rowdy place. We have lots of kids there, lots of them.
Can you walk the board through any additional staff trainings or educational materials
we just have the normal meetings any tavern would about, just do your due diligence. Don't be stupid. If you see someone drinking, just cut them off. It's not that hard.
Are the restroom facilities in your establishment properly maintained?
Yes.
Okay.
I go out there every morning and sweep. Every morning and sweep. And I've never swept up one condom.
Have you taken any steps to increase your staffing since these allegations began?
I had to hire a person at the door, so that cost me money.
Okay. And can you testify about when the signage was added to the fence?
That day. When Jim calls me, I'm on the way to work. So.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like the board to understand about this allegation?
I take this very seriously. We tried, and don't let them tell you we didn't. We tried to talk to them, both of the neighbors, about it. And when the new neighbors move in, we're going to go right to them again. They're blowing it way out of proportion. Let's put it that way.
Mr. Ricker, I think you testified before you did not know who the individual was that allegedly urinated on the fence.
No.
And from your inspection of the video, could you tell whether the individual was actually urinating?
No, I mean, if you look at the video, you can't tell that he's going to the bathroom. No.
Okay. I don't have any further questions for Mr. Ricker.
Okay. Are you going to call a second witness, or?
I just call, and I draw the board's attention that the other licensee, Jacqueline Ricker, is here, seated to Mr. Ricker's left. Ms. Ricker, is there anything you'd like to add to the presentation thus far?
No.
Okay. All right. Mr. Chairman, questions?
Where do I start? Actually, I think the first question is, you have cameras, I believe you said, Mr. Ricker?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So the incidents that they're recording, I would imagine you're probably recording simultaneously?
Not that back, I didn't have the camera installed then.
Is there one installed back there now?
The picture, you saw that, yes.
Okay.
I have a picture on the back lot.
Right.
I have a picture on the side lot. I have a picture on the front lot. I have pictures in the bar. I have cameras everywhere.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, that's the point that I'm getting
Yes.
at. And the light you added, the one that you show in your photo,
Yes.
that's about the top of the door, 6'8",
Yes, you
6'9".
can adjust it.
Right. That light faces the parking, I'm sorry. Does that light face the parking area that's in question?
Yes.
It does. Okay. And I believe you also said there was other lighting. Is that also correct?
I had like solar lighting, and then the original building lights were kind of bolted to the block, so they were just old. They're old bulbs, so we had those replaced.
In the form of a question, do you think it would be advantageous to you and your business if you added additional lighting back there so that people would not feel comfortable walking up and...
I think if you came by, Mr. Harris, in the evening when it was dark and you saw how bright that light is, you would need more light.
So you don't think any additional lighting would be necessary?
It's very bright. It's almost too bright for the neighborhood. I care about the neighborhood. I mean, contrary to what they're saying, I care about the neighborhood. And those lights are very bright. And we on the side, the customers are coming, man, it's so bright now. So I had to actually tilt them down. Not in the back part, this is on the side.
Do you have this security or staff member you have posted at the door?
Mm-hmm.
Does he stay at the door in that chair?
He goes in and out. We have two little chairs on the side. If there are people outside, he'll stay outside. When they come back in, he comes in.
Oh, okay. Does he walk the parking lot, or does he patrol or look at it?
You can pretty much see everything. The building's small and the parking's small. It's 10 spaces. The side's like 1 space. So to sit where the door is, you can pretty much see. And our chefs come out of the back door and go in those sheds all the time to get supplies to cook.
And do you feel that once the present homeowners settle on their house and you have new homeowners there, do you feel that the problem's going to disappear, or do you believe that you're going to be dealing with this?
I know the problem's going to disappear.
And that also happened with the prior owners. Mr. Ellis, I believe it is, right? Thank you. I apologize. When he moved, I assume you thought that things would...
No, bear in mind, when the original residents were there, we didn't have a lot of these extra items. I've added all this stuff.
Yep.
You know?
Understood. Do you have any suggestions of what you might be able to do to maybe take this a step further to prevent these? I mean, we're talking about one item on one particular day.
I understand.
But
sure, I agree with you. I don't like when this. I don't want to be sitting at this table. Trust me.
Yeah.
I mean, I could add another camera, but a camera's not really a deterrent nowadays. You know, I could add more lighting or tilt the lighting up, but I have to be careful because if I tilt the lighting too high, it literally shines.
Yeah, we don't want it in the neighbors' houses either. No, we don't want to cause a problem. And,
yes.
And we understand that. Would you have any concerns about maybe taking that staff member at the door and kind of telling him to be a little bit more mobile around the parking lot a little bit, especially when people are leaving, crowds or
That's the thing. He could be mobile. I'm not there 24 hours a day, so does he get up and walk around? I'm sure he gets up and walks around and looks. But yes, we discussed that when the first time it's happened.
Okay, well, it hasn't, well, possibly hasn't prevented it from happening. Well, we're trying to find something reasonable for everybody concerned. It isn't fair, from what we've seen on the video, that these things take place. And right now, I can't think of any other questions, so I'll pass it on to the other commissioners.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Duffy?
I just have one question in reference to the camera that's in the board that you can see outside. Was this incident recorded on the Waterman incident forum that evening?
The urination on the fence?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
Chairman, any more questions before we turn it over to Mr. Lyman for final word?
I am concerned for the community, whether it be one house or 5 houses. And I understand we're hearing from one who's adjacent to your property. And I don't believe there's any other residential properties that actually butt up to yours. Is that correct?
No, it's just that one house and across the street and down the road. And the neighborhood, you've been by the bar.
Yeah, well, I'm just making sure that not just I understand, but the other commissioners and everybody else
Sure.
understand. No further questions.
Mr. Lyman, final word?
Thank you, Mr. Fraley. I'd ask the commissioners to, understand the tension that's inherent between these uses. And I think that's probably in large measure what we have here is a situation where should urination outside of an establishment occur? Absolutely not. Of course not. My clients are not here saying that that should have happened. Those are my questions to Mr. Ford to try to elicit the facts that happened that evening. Fundamentally, we have a situation where the individuals who've made this allegation, they'd like the board to consider more than just what happened on the 23rd. And the board has heard 2 sides of that story, for lack of a better term. I think the board has heard how angry and upset the homeowners were about this situation. The prior homeowners were upset enough to move, and the current homeowners are apparently upset enough to move. I don't have a great explanation for the board about how it came to that position. It seems to me that perhaps based on one of the comments in the public testimony that the board was perhaps not responsive enough to the concerns raised by the homeowners quickly enough. Notwithstanding, I think what you have in the testimony from Chief Inspector Ford, indeed it shines through in his report, is that the licensees are attempting to accommodate and address this issue. They've spent resources, they've made investments in their business, they take this matter seriously, they believe that they are good members of the community. They are doing their best to deal with this. You heard Mr. Ricker testify that he, as a policy, does not overserve his patrons. You have a situation where they're charged with 2 public welfare charges that seem to be the same issue to me. I'm not sure why we brought 2 charges for illegal conduct and 1 for public welfare when you heard the chief inspector explain that it was basically this one incident and it was the same behavior and infraction by an unknown person that caused this. I would ask the board to seriously consider what the licensees were supposed to do the night in question. On the 23rd at 11:35 p.m., when the bartender looks on the camera and sees this individual urinating on the fence, is the bartender within the board's direction supposed to go out and interfere with this individual once he unzips? Is the bartender supposed to have a confrontation in the parking lot? Or does the licensee reasonably document the occurrence, call the police, or document the occurrence, identify the individual, and just as their policy is currently, ban the individual from the establishment going forward? We have a situation here where Mr. Ford testified that he did not contact the licensee. So the licensee didn't have an opportunity to review the footage, whatever records he might have for who this patron might have been, to try to enact the policy, to ban the individual, potentially to make a police report for public urination, and have the police file charges against an individual. The board needs to seriously consider what the licensee is actually supposed to do to resolve this. The licensee is supposed to, according to Mr. Ford, have an individual stationed in the parking lot. We heard testimony from the licensee that that is the policy now effectively. As patrons are leaving, the doorman is instructed to be outside when the patrons are outside, to be back inside to make sure that alcohol is not leaving the establishment in opened containers. we have a situation where if the board is going to levy a penalty against the licensees, I think the board needs to make sure that the penalty is appropriate to fit the crime. And the crime here, I'm having trouble understanding exactly what the licensee has done wrong in this circumstance. And I don't mean that lightly. I understand that there's context here. I don't mean to tread lightly on the testimony and the efforts of Chief Inspector Ford to try to resolve this dispute and to protect the public. But we clearly have a situation where the adjacent homeowners have a strong bias about this. And they are, for lack of a better term, surveilling every single thing that happens in this parking lot. And we have identified one incident, one video that the board staff brought to the board's attention and that we're here to try to resolve tonight. I think there's a question about whether the gentleman was actually urinating. He could have been pouring out a Dasani bottle. He could have been, because he's been looking at the Facebook page, seeing the post by Mr. Ricker that we're to watch our behavior. We've got an issue with public urination. We have an individual who may be doing something to the neighbor out of spite to get under his skin, specifically talking about the behavior that has historically been an issue out there. Look, this isn't a criminal court, okay, but the board sits in a quasi-judicial capacity, and the board owes fair consideration to the licensees to determine whether or not this incident actually happened. Urination is alleged, and I don't think the board has heard proper evidence from any witness of personal knowledge that urination occurred. What we had was voices on a tape. Maybe you have an admission potentially from the individual who says it was a long pee. But to me, that sounds exactly like someone who is trying to get under a homeowner's skin. A homeowner who has been vocal, who is well known throughout the community, as Mr. Ricker testified, who I think by the public testimony that they gave themselves, they allege that they were defamed and branded and are probably not welcome in the community. So we have a situation where I think the board should seriously consider the facts at issue here, and if they've been sufficiently proven by appropriate evidence and substantial enough evidence to issue any violation at all. And then I think the board needs to look to the conduct of the licensee and to instruct the licensee exactly what the licensee did wrong if they're going to find a violation, and what the policy has to be or should have been in this case. You have testimony from Inspector Ford that he did not specifically instruct the licensees to have a doorman, have a personnel in the parking lot in order to prevent this from happening. We have his admission on his own testimony that it was speculation that this incident would not have occurred had there been an individual out in the parking lot. We have an intervening cause of an individual who made their own choice to urinate on this fence. Maybe, maybe not. But that's going to be attributable to the licensee for some reason if you're going to find a violation. And I think you need to think long and hard about whether that's appropriate or not in this case. Now remember, we're here talking about just the 23rd of February 2024 and what you saw on the video. The board should not be considering anything that it saw on the prior videos. Now you did hear live testimony making certain allegations by the former neighbors and the neighbors that there was a habitual issue, but I think that you need to look at the testimony with an eye toward the bias that those individuals clearly have about this situation to judge their credibility. And I think you need to judge Mr. Ricker's credibility. He's a licensee. He has a continuing relationship with his board, with the board staff, with the board's chief inspector and the inspector for their premises. And Mr. Ricker is obviously agitated, and I think he deserves to be agitated because this is a charge that I don't think that there's sufficient evidence to find factually happened based on the evidence that the board has heard tonight. And I think the board should seriously consider, if it does find that there are sufficient facts, issuing a reprimand and specific instructions to the licensee about what's supposed to be done in order to protect the public welfare before the board issues a citation. Because I think what you heard tonight was testimony that the licensees have attempted to comply with every single suggestion and request of the chief inspector and his staff up until the 23rd when we had this alleged violation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lyman. Okay, everybody's given us a lot to think about, and we are zoned or focusing on that one particular day, so I want everybody to understand that. We have no choice in this matter. With that being said, though, I do feel that there was enough convincing information to it for us to understand that there probably was somebody urinating against that fence, even though, yes, there is a small possibility, whatever. But I think the most important thing is I'd love to be able to see some way that we could mend the fence, excuse the pun. And I don't think that's going to happen. So when the house is settled and goes, I hope that whoever the new residents are, you're able to maybe present yourself or do whatever it is to, hopefully start off on the right foot. There is only one residence against your property, and because of that, I'm assuming that's the real issue, is that property line between your property and theirs. And I think you need to find a way to resolve that issue. And if that means having your staff, your floater or your security person move around a little bit, especially when he sees people walking towards the back of the parking lot, maybe you need to do that. I'm going to make a motion in this case, and it's all revolving around that one particular day. I think I understand the legality of the illegal conduct versus public welfare. I'm going to make a motion that on that particular day that we find you guilty of both of these charges with a small fine of $250 for each of those charges, a total of $500. Let me also suggest that you get with Chief Ford and his staff and maybe critique it a little further in the evening and try to find out if there's something you can do to prevent another offense. Because what I'm concerned about is tonight, of course, but I'm also worried about next month or the month after or whatever. Coming in front of the board, you've had 4 other incidents, but it's been over a 17-year period. That's a good amount of time. And none of them have been within the last 5 years. That's taken into consideration here too. So I don't want you to think that, we're just trying to pile this on you. We're not. But I do think that perhaps maybe the chief can meet with you, Mr. and Mrs. Ricketts, in the evening, at night, and just discuss something that you can do to maybe help prevent any future incidents. So my motion is guilty on both charges, $250 and cost. Looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Okay. All right. With that being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So be it. Lots of luck, Mr. and Mrs. Ricker. Lots of luck in your future endeavors. Have a good evening. This case is dismissed.
Thank you, everybody. Our next case is Crofton Country Club, CLLH.
We'll waive reading.
Thank you very much.
I think I gave it back to you.
Oh, Mr. Lyman again.
I gave it to them to.
Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward, remain standing, and raise your right hand.
I gave it to the.
And please remain standing and raise your right hand. I'm sorry, please remain standing.
Right hand.
Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. You may be seated. And Mr. Lyman, if you could start for us.
Thank you, Chief Inspector Ford, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm here to present.
I'm so sorry. State your name and address for the record.
I'm sorry.
That's my fault.
Brian Lyman, Lyman, on behalf of the applicants.
Name and address.
Aaron Berkshire Hobbs, of the business, 1691 Crofton Parkway.
Yeah, Linda Berkshire, 1487 Crofton Parkway, Crofton, Maryland.
Raymond Salzer, 185 Rock Ridge Road, Millersville, Maryland, 21108.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you all. Mr. Lyman, go right ahead.
Thank you. I apologize. I jumped the gun. I was thinking ahead rather than listening to the question from Chief Inspector Ford. So we're here to present a change of officer application for Crofton Country Club. As the board likely knows, Crofton Country Club is a special golf and club license, and it's located in Crofton, Maryland on the Crofton Parkway. Your applicants are seated to my left, actually not Mr. Salzar. He is the general manager, who is the current general manager and has been for a number of years and will be continuing as the general manager. We have immediately to my left, Aaron Berkshire Hobbs, and to her left, Mr. William Berkshire's spouse, Linda Berkshire. And Mr. William Berkshire has obtained permission to be absent this evening because he's attending to events and contractual commitments for his son related to the Masters tournament in Georgia. And so he requested the board's commission to be absent, which was thankfully and graciously granted by the board that he's not present for tonight's hearing. This application is for an existing license, as I said, located at Crofton Country Club. The licensee is CLLH LLC, and I believe that all of the necessary application documents and supporting documents have been submitted to the board. I would incorporate those as applicant's exhibit number 1 for the hearing record. In short, Mr. Berkshire is the majority owner of the operating entity that took over operation of the country club. Mr. Berkshire is also the majority owner of the landlord for Crofton Country Club. Crofton Country Club has been operated by several different entities and licensees over the years, and it came a time that the club operation would be retaken over by Mr. Berkshire. I understand that he may be looking for another manager, but for the present time being, in order to remain open in operations and provide a seamless transition, hopefully, for its members, Mr. Berkshire, his wife, and his daughter are making the application here to the board. I'm happy to report that they are members of the community, that they're fit and proper people to hold the license. They actually are members of the community who live right there in Crofton and will be much more responsive to issues at the club, I think, than the prior managers, which was an officer of a corporation who lived out of state, the primary licensee. And then the qualifier was local attorney, Mr. Gormley, who I know well, but I don't think was particularly active in the operation of the club. The club, I believe, is operated without incident. They haven't had any violations to my knowledge. And I'd certainly ask the board to ask any questions these licensees. I've informed them of their duties and obligations to be familiar with the board's rules and regulations, to have the staff appropriately trained, and to be TIPS and TAMS certified. I think there's a whole raft or set of cards of all of the staff that are TIPS and TAMS trained at the club. I've highlighted for them the importance of making sure that their patrons are not overserved, that the cart attendants who may be carrying alcoholic beverages across the grounds and the golf course generally appropriately ID their patrons in the case that they need to be ID'd, and to appropriately distribute alcoholic beverages in accordance with this board's rules and regulations. I believe that the application is all in order, and that there is a need for this application. The club remains popular among its members. Alcohol service is a typical and customary tradition on a golf course, as you may or may not know. And the club does rely on its alcohol sales to support the staff members in the community and pay their appropriate salaries. I'd be happy to ask the licensees to correct me if I'm wrong about any of those points, or the applicants, I should say, to correct me if I'm wrong about any of those points. And as I said, Mr. Salazar is here to answer any questions the board might have about any operations. We plan absolutely no changes to the hours of operation or logistics and operation at the club.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman. Mr. Chairman, questions?
Just one question to the applicants who are here. Do you have any interest, financial interest, in any other licensed alcohol establishment in the state of Maryland?
No.
Neither of you?
No.
Do you know if Mr. Berkshire does or not?
I can speak for him, but no, he does not.
Okay,
He
that's,
does not. Well, sometimes I can speak for him, but.
no, that's fine. I just want to know up front if there is.
I can speak for him. I'm his attorney, and I checked, and he does not have another interest in another alcoholic beverage license in the state.
There's a reason we don't ask the attorneys.
That's fair, Mr. Chairman, that's fair.
Okay, well, thank you all for that answer. I really don't have any other questions at all, so.
Commissioner Duffy or Commissioner Snoops? All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, let's make this quick for a change. In reference to Crofton Country Club and the change of officers, I make a motion that we approve. Looking for a second. Thank you, Mr. Duffy. Looking for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
A lot of
Commissioners.
work. Yep, thank you all. Have a good
It was
evening.
a little bit shorter than the last one.
A little bit.
Our next case is Aloft Element, AMMD Associates, LLV. Jeffrey Colasar, member. Joseph A. Wellenbusher III, member. Thank you very much. Okay, anybody wishing to testify for or against, please remain standing. And raise your right hand, thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated. And if you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record?
I'll go first.
Sure.
Bryce Iskin, I'm the attorney. I may appear familiar. I'm standing in for Leanne Schreckengost. So 102 West Pennsylvania Avenue, Towson.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Colasar, 249 Bodley Road, Aston, Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
Jaleesa Rodriguez, 7522 Teak Road.
Thank you very much.
All right, counsel, go right ahead.
Yes, this evening we'll proceed by proffer. And so first, Mr. Wellenbusher, who was an applicant, is not here this evening, and he's going to be removed as an applicant. I believe that was addressed prior to this evening. The removal documents are being prepared, and we'll have them for you as soon as possible. Mr. Colasar, to my right, will be the sole licensee. If approved by the board, none of his personal information has changed since the time the application materials were filed. He has no felony convictions or violations of the alcoholic beverage laws or gambling laws. He is a 50% owner and authorized person of AMMD Associates LLC. Aloft and the Element Hotels, it's two hotel concepts under one roof that share the bar restaurant area, and that's how it's been licensed since 2014. The seating capacity is 38, and that includes 8 bar stools. There is also an outside seating area with seating for 30 patrons. The hours of operation of the restaurant are from Sunday through Thursday will be 5 p.m. through 12 a.m. And Friday and Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. There will be 55 employees with 5 that are involved with the sale of the service of alcohol, and those employees undergo alcohol awareness training through the TIPS program. They card anyone under the age of 30 and do not accept vertical IDs. Also, there is no room service to be concerned with. Mr. Colasar has received the board, the regulations, rules and regulations. He's familiar with them, understands them, and is happy to answer any questions for this board. And he understands that he would have to answer for any violations to this board, and we're happy to turn it over for any questions for any of us.
All right, thank you, Mr. Siskin. Mr. Chairman, questions?
Just a couple. I am familiar with the location. There is quite a few people shown on a management agreement that is presently active for that location. Do you plan on keeping those employees intact, or are you going to have to resubmit management agreements for new staff?
New management agreements for...
Yeah, there will be
staff.
new management agreements for the staff, correct, yes.
Okay, then I suggest that you have somebody contact our office so that you can get them placed on a management agreement. You understand the management agreement basically gives authority to those people listed on the management agreement with us. We're not talking about your management but with us to answer for you and any of the licensees if they're not on the premises. The law does say that a licensee must be on the premises at all times unless there's a person on the management agreement who can represent them. So it is important that you get that updated as soon as possible, and you can contact our office and they'll help you do it. Another question is the location of the alcohol as to where it was. Is it going to remain the same, meaning the bar going to remain the same? You mentioned the 8 seats at the bar and the table service and so forth, but is there any movement on that alcohol plan at all?
There are no changes to the alcohol plans and/or the seating capacities.
Okay, very good. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, one question I failed to ask. Sir, do you have any financial interest in any other alcohol or liquor establishment in the state of Maryland?
Yes, I'm on 2 other licenses in the state of Maryland.
Okay, which 2 licenses?
It is the Residence Inn in Greenbelt, Maryland, and the Doubletree in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Okay, very good. Thank you. No further questions.
All right. Mr. Ziskin, anything you want to add before?
Nothing further, thank you.
Sure. All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Another quick and easy one. So I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and accept the transfer for the license. You've had no recent violations or anything, so I feel very comfortable doing that. I'm looking for a second.
A second.
Okay. All right, guys. No, okay, thank you for the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. And feel free to call our office if you need any help with the management agreements, okay?
Great.
Thank you very much.
Yep, good night.
Thank you, Board. Thank you.
Okay, our next case is Fort Liquors, JSA Enterprise, Inc., Sang-Hyun Lee, President, Jenny Jin Lee, Secretary.
Mr. Yu, will you waive reading?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you could remain standing for me and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated. And if you could, state your names and addresses for the record.
Jenny Lee. So loud. Jenny Lee, 5460 Wooded Way, Columbia, Maryland.
Sang Lee, 5460 Wooded Way, Columbia, Maryland, 21044.
JU on behalf of the applicants, Mr. and Mrs. Lee.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Yu, go right ahead. You can present your client's case to the board. You can do so by way of proffer, testimony, or a combination of both. Turn it over to you.
If I may, I would like to proffer to save time. Mr. Lee and Mrs. Lee will be the 50% owner of the this establishment that they're trying to purchase. This location is, I believe, 1628 Annapolis Road. It's a premises that has a Pizza Bollis to the next, and it's right, Pizza Bollis with the liquor store side by side. It's approximately about 3,000 square foot. Mr. Lee is requesting for a transfer plus delivered alcoholic beverage and also wine and beer tasting. Mr. Lee, well, like I said, 50% owner. Each of the husband and wife will be 50% owners. Mr. Lee will be the president and Mrs. Lee will be the secretary. They will both be working at the store as a owner-managed. If they hire any employees, they'll make sure that all their employees are certified and will submit the certification within 30 days. Mr. Lee and Mrs. Lee underwent extensive studying of the rules and regulations. I gave them the package and they studied it, especially with the ID checking procedures and also the delivery aspect of it to make sure that they know all the rules and regulations pertaining to delivery and also wine tasting as to how much can given to each patron and to what amount, so they know all the rules. Currently, they're planning on maintaining the hours of operation as the current owner. I believe it's 9:30 to 12 o'clock on Monday through Thursday, and then 9:30 to 1 a.m. Friday and Saturday. And the Sunday will be 9:30 to 12. They're also requesting for the Sunday license as well, which the current owner already has. And Mr. Lee and Mrs. Lee are persons of good moral characters. They have been a Maryland resident for over 30 years and 19 years, and they are Maryland taxpayers, and they do not have any criminal convictions. And they were both certified in alcohol risk training. To my knowledge, you do not have any other interest in any other liquor store or liquor licenses, right? No. Okay. And at this location that you're trying to purchase, to your understanding, do they have an ID scanner?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the board?
Not really.
Okay. That's my question.
Well, we had liquor stores before.
Oh, yes.
We had one liquor store before, and we have experience. And
Over 20 years.
20 years experience. And while you had the liquor store, did you have any violations pertaining to sale to minors or any other infractions? None whatsoever.
No.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's my case. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yu. Mr. Chairman, questions?
Yes. First of all, you're asking for delivery as well as the transfer, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Are you aware of the rules that govern delivery?
yes, sir.
Okay. Could you give me an idea of what you think they are?
Yeah. You have to have the names on the board, right? The people who's delivering and have to be over 21.
In the payroll.
And they have to be on your payroll, and then you have to make sure, like, you check the ID when you get there, and make sure, like, there's nothing fishy going on before you get the liquor.
Yeah,
And
that's a
make
good
sure
way.
that it's
That's a
in
good
the-
way of putting it.
And then make sure that the alcohol is in the manufacturer's container.
Yeah. Make sure they're over 21. Make sure they're alcohol awareness certified.
Yes.
Okay, and make sure that they check ID to confirm everything. Okay, next question is, you only have 2 people on the present management agreement for that establishment. Do you plan on, are those 2 people still with you, do you know, or?
They said they will stay, so I think we are keeping them for now. Yes. That's what I believe, yes.
Okay. Again, this is, well, it was Wan Jong Cho is still there?
Yes.
Okay. And Young Sup Wo?
Yes.
Okay, very good. It is important that if the licensees are not going to be there, that one of those 2 people, and you can add as many to it as you wish. There was 2 rooms on the drawing that weren't identified, and I'm not sure if we got the answers to that or not in the office. Do you remember in the drawing, there was 2 rooms that really weren't identified? Were they
Yes.
storage?
Yes, we updated and submitted.
Okay, yeah, I apologize. I do know they reached out to you. Okay, very good. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops? No questions. All right, Mr. Yu, anything you want to add?
No, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, thank you for your testimony, and I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and approve both the transfer and the delivery. Please make sure you keep a record of those people who are doing your delivery for you. I put that in the form of a motion, looking for a second.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, is that going to include the tasting as well? I believe there was a
Oh, was there tasting?
Yes, there's a request for tasting as well.
transfer, delivery, and tasting.
Okay, I apologize. I only
I just
saw
wanted
it.
to make sure we were clear.
I
Sorry
looked
to
at I looked at the agenda and it didn't break it down. All right, yes, that does include the tasting. I'm sure you'll do a good job with that. So with that, I'm looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Having a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, good night, and lots of luck to you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Our next case is Killarney House, BCG Inc. Anthony Clark, Treasurer, Secretary Treasurer. Thomas Galway, President. Inspector Scott Montaigne. This is for a request to remove restriction. Currently, the entertainment permit grants privileges solely for multiple TVs only.
Mr. Fortes, waive reading.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Des.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Council. BGC Inc., which is Killarney House, is seeking to remove some restrictions to the entertainment permit that they already hold. Those restrictions were imposed in 2016 when the entertainment permit was issued and restricted the activities under the entertainment permit to TVs only. And an Irish restaurant, which is what Killarney House is, the live music is essential to the business. It's an important part of what that business is to the community. And I've actually brought some petitions here tonight, just 2 copies. I can give one to the clerk and one to for the chair, if that's acceptable. There are over 2,000 signatures here of folks in support of this change to the entertainment permit to allow live music with up to 4 musicians, and testimony to the fact that the bars operate in a responsible way that would not be harmful to the community.
Okay, that'll be accepted as applicant's one, Mr. Dales. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fraley. So really, I'll keep this short. We're here to seek removal of that restriction because we're looking to take advantage of the live music elements of an entertainment permit, which are provided in the state AB article and in the board's rules. And so I'll proffer from here that we've submitted the materials required to show compliance with the requirements for activities under that entertainment permit without restrictions, including a survey, and I can answer questions about the operations under this unrestricted permit if the board has any questions, but I'll rest there.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dales. Mr. Chairman, questions?
Yes, of course, we excused both licensees, and that was with the understanding that they're made aware of whatever the decision is, and of course, we know Mr. Dales, and we know you'll do that. The location where the entertainment is inside, there's no plans in changing or moving that location within the confines of the building, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. We've identified the stage on the survey plans to show the distance to the nearest property, and I guess technically anything that is equally far from those residential lot lines would be proper for entertainment, but that's where the entertainment occurs, that's where the live music occurs, and we're not planning to change that.
Okay, very good, thank you. With the clarity for the entertainment, it's no more than 4 musicians. And it's important that they understand that would include a singer. So you may have 3 that have instruments in their hands, and you may have a 4th one that is a singer, but it doesn't mean 4 with instruments plus a singer.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I understand the provisions of the code and the rules, and I think I would mention now that, for Irish music in particular, there are many instances where the entertainers would want there to be more than 4, and so maybe we'll follow up with some requests to the board about the rules, but we understand the requirements of the current law and the current rule.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Dales, anything you want to add?
No, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Braley. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dales. With that, I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and approve the lifting of the restriction. Looking for a second, I'm sorry.
I'll second the motion.
I didn't finish, okay. All right, now I have a second, so all those in favor? Aye. Mr. Dales, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Council. Night.
Night.
Okay, our next case is Miss Toya's Cajun Caribbean Kitchen. Miss Toya's Cajun Caribbean Kitchen, LLC. Jeffrey Miskiri, member. Inspector Jason McCarthy. This is for a new license located at 1402 Main Chapel Way, Suite 104, Gambrels, Maryland 21054. It's for a Class H beer, wine, liquor, and Sunday license. And anybody else wishing to testify for or against can come forward. Guess you're it. Raise your right hand, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jeffrey Miskiri, 14916 Runner Horse Place, Bowie, Maryland.
Thank you, sir, and I'm just going to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right, sir. This is your chance to present your case to the board. Go ahead and tell the board a little bit about this new restaurant concept why you think you need a liquor license, and anything else you want the board to consider, and then we'll see if the board has any questions, okay?
Yes, most definitely. So this will be my ninth restaurant located in the area. I specialize in Southern, Cajun, Creole, and Caribbean cuisine. A little bit about my background. I started off cooking when I was in high school, and I followed my passion, community college, and opened up my first restaurant when I was 26 years old, you know, with a dream of passion of cooking. Circle back around 10 years later where I'm here now. I'm on my ninth location. I work with my wife. I work with my mom, all my siblings, and, you know, we just carry on the cuisine of the Cajun side, the Cajun Creole side, the Southern side, which is my dad's root, and the Caribbean side with a little flair of the Caribbean, which is my mom's root. I can provide you guys probably with the best gumbo in the East Coast. And sometimes people, you know, at my restaurants, we're mainly 85-15 food alcohol sales. I hold a liquor license in two in Montgomery County, one's Prince George's County, just received one in Baltimore City. I have one restaurant outside with a partnership in Cleveland, Ohio, and all my restaurants, we follow the rules of tips training. You know, we're a place to go to for birthday celebrations, retirements, families, anniversaries. We decorate the tables. We do nice crafted cocktails, but everyone that's works for us in the program understands the rules and tip certified. I have, you know, classes regularly. I'm getting, you know, kids all the way up to 18 to 20 years old and, you know, taking the courses, alcohol awareness. We know how important that is. So I'm looking forward and excited seeing that Gambro's, the shopping center, Wagyu shopping center is real close to my, where I reside, my house, and bringing that cuisine to the Anne Arundel County.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chairman, questions?
No, but, well, yes, one quick one. You are aware of the fact that with a restaurant, that you can have servers deliver the alcohol to the table. They cannot pour it, they cannot open the container or anything of that nature. That takes a bartender who is over 21 and qualified.
Correct.
Okay, very good. And how many of your restaurants are presently active, open and running?
Running, I have 7.
Do you? Wow. You're going to, I assume, spend some of your time at this location, but I know you're going to be needed at the other locations as well. You understand what I was talking about previously about a management agreement?
Correct.
You must have somebody whose name appears on that, and they in turn actually speak for you.
Yes.
And so please make sure that, you know, and you can put as many on there as you wish. That's up to you.
Most definitely.
But we definitely want, when the inspectors come in, first thing they're going to do is ask for the licensee. If you're not there, then they're going to ask for somebody on the management agreement.
Correct.
And hopefully you'll be able to do that. One last question. Miss Toya, is that your mother?
It's my wife.
I just thought
Our real estate agent, we have one of the restaurants was called House of Creole. And, you know, we wanted to make, you know, my wife started to get more and more involved. So he said, her name is Shatoya. So he's like, why not call it Miss Toya's? And during COVID, we opened up the restaurant early in COVID, and we kind of went viral. And so now, you know, now we have a kind of like a routine program, similar to like Miss Shirley's, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just very simply make a motion that we go ahead and allow this new license. I'm looking for a second.
I second the motion for the new license.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
you, guys.
Congratulations. Have a good evening.
You too. Have a
Sorry
good
you had
night.
to wait so long.
I live in the area. I'm coming by for the gumbo very, very soon, okay? Very soon. Last case, Phelps Liquors. Thank you, Mr. Lyman.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, if you could remain standing and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And you may be seated. And Mr. Lyman, if you could start name and address, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Brian Lyman, Lyman, 221 Duke of Gloucester Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401. On behalf of the applicants.
And sir, your name and address for the record?
Name and address for the record. Clifford R. Phelps, 4445 Mountain Road, Pasadena, Maryland.
Clifford Michael Phelps, 870 Woods Road, Pasadena, Maryland.
Andrew J. Stilling, 1237 Lane Avenue, Pasadena, Maryland.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Lyman, go right ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, we have a Class A beer, wine, liquor, beer and wine, and Sundays tasting application for a property that has been a liquor store, with the exception of the past several months, for, I dare say, almost 70-some years. Mr. Phelps indicated that it was his father opened a licensed premises in 1946 at this location. The address is 4447 Mountain Road, and Mr. Phelps is actually a licensee before this board. And when I say Mr. Phelps, I'm talking about Clifford R. Phelps immediately to my left. I believe we were trying to calculate, I believe it was 35 or 36 years before he sold the business to tenants, and then has subsequently obtained the premises back from those tenants and has made an application for a new liquor license at those very premises. This is a 6,100-foot building, give or take, located on Mr. Phelps's property. He, in 2018, put the property into trust, and it's a 21-acre property that's had a liquor use on it for, as I said, since approximately 1946. The applicants before you, I believe, are fit and proper persons. We have Mr. Phelps, who, as I said, has been living in Anne Arundel County for his whole life, 85 years, and took over operation of this establishment at 4447 Mountain Road in, I believe, the early 70s, maybe 1969, when his father passed away. And then seated to his left is Mr. Clifford M. Phelps, who is his son, who is going to be a minority owner of the business, at least preliminarily here. And both of these gentlemen have been active in the alcohol business before. They understand the board's rules and regulations. I believe they both recently obtained their TIP certifications. At least I saw them here in my file. I'll have to confirm that they were provided to the board, the alcohol training certificates. As you may gather, Mr. Phelps is getting on in age, and so all the way down at the end, Mr. Stelling is the presumed manager of the establishment, should the board see fit to open or allow the license to be granted and the store to open. Mr. Phelps had significant improvements to make to the retail store since he's obtained possession of the property back. These include new coolers, a new floor, replumbing and outfitting the bathroom and what have you. Those renovations are currently underway, but not due to be complete for about 4 to 6 months is Mr. Phelps's estimate. So if the board deems it fit to grant a license in this location, the establishment may open its doors, as I said, in the next 4 to 6 months or so. As I said, Mr. Stelling, all the way at the end, was a prior manager of this establishment for a number of years. I believe he arrived on scene, he told me, in 1980. I don't know when he stopped working at the establishment, but I believe it might have been circa 2007 when Mr. Phelps sold the business, the then existing business, to his tenants for a number of years, for about 15 years. Fundamentally, the board needs to look at some factors in order to approve this license. And those factors are identified in alcoholic beverage and cannabis article section 4210. Those include the public need and desire for a license. I'd proffer to the board that the successful operation of a liquor business, including a Class A license at this location for while Mr. Phelps was involved for 35 years and then 15 years after that, serves to show that there is a public need for a license in this location. The license, this carryout license, is going to be one of two carryout licenses along about a 5-mile corridor, I believe, on Mountain Road. There's a license in the shopping center, and I apologize, I believe it's Lakeshore Shopping Center, where the closest carryout license is located. There is a restaurant license, the Texas Roadhouse. It's located about a block down Mountain Road, across the Woods Road intersection. And then there's another license that's located, I believe, within the grocery store, which again, I'm blanking on, Mr. Phelps. Remember the Angel's Grocery Store, which is another probably 4 or 5 miles down Mountain Road, Route 177. The store that Mr. Phelps, or both Mr. Phelps, proposed to the board is your typical, Class A liquor store. I've explained to Mr. Phelps the need to make sure that he has available to his customers appropriate selection of the typical products, and that he makes his business competitive within the market and orders appropriate new products. Since Mr. Phelps has been in the liquor business, he was a landlord of a liquor establishment for a number of years and has kept up with his knowledge of the marketplace. Mr. Phelps also, I believe, served on the advocacy board for liquor licensed retailers for a number of years and has been active in the Retail Association for a number of years. He is certainly a qualified applicant before this board, as is his son, and I'd be happy to explain that Mr. Phelps lives right next door, and so he will be a resident licensee at the very premises. He lives in the little white house that's on the corner of Woods Road and 177, Route 177, and is an appropriate, fit, and proper applicant to hold the license at this location. I dare say that there will be little to no effect on the existing license holders, given the relative distance between the various establishments. The offerings that Mr. Phelps will offer, I think he's going to have a pretty major upgrade in the facility itself over when this facility was licensed last. It had run down. The tenants, that was part of the dispute potentially between Mr. Phelps and his tenants, was that he had some issues with their maintenance and upkeep of the actual facility. So as I said, Mr. Phelps has construction in the works in accordance with the plans that have been submitted to the board to basically install a new interior to the liquor store, including new coolers, HVAC, countertop for the register, and the shelving is sort of a combination of new shelving is being installed and rehab, repainting of reusable shelving that was located in the premises. I don't think that there's going to be any significant impact upon the health, safety, welfare of the community. There should be no impact to crime, traffic, parking, or convenience. As I said, this liquor store has operated, with the exception of the past several months, for quite some time at that location without significant incident, as I understand it. I'd ask both Mr. Phelps to affirm my proffers. Mr. Phelps, is there anything that I've said that's incorrect or that you need to fix on the record?
No, it sounded good to me.
Okay. How about the next Mr. Phelps?
Yeah, I think
Clifford
that
Phelps.
was all accurate.
Okay. And fundamentally, I'd like to also note that the property is properly posted, and to incorporate the actual application itself as applicant's Exhibit 1 to our presentation.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Lyman.
With that, any questions, we'd be happy to try to answer.
Let's see, Mr. Chairman.
You didn't leave any room for questions.
Thank you. I think that was the idea.
You did a good job. Mr. Phelps, welcome back. It's been a while, but I'm sitting here trying to think of questions, and every time Mr. Lyman would mention something, I was going to go ahead and say, oh, there's a question, and then he'd answer it before I could even think about it too long. A lot of renovations going on, especially if it's going to take another 4 to 6 months, I believe you said?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you doing anything to the outside, exterior?
Well, yes, some things. It's the people I had rented it to, and I had just rented it for a while. I had run the store all myself, and I didn't have really managers. But so I did a lot of new things to the store back then. And so now this was a 14-month rental thing to the people that were that have recently operated the store.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I don't know, just a lot of things were run down.
Sure.
So,
No.
Mr. Phelps, I think he's talking about, is there any sort of changes that you're making to the appearance or the exterior?
The
of
outside,
premises?
yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't
mean,
think you'll be able to tell a great difference. I think the color's going to remain the same. There may be some refreshed painting.
A couple lights had gone out in one of the signs on the roof.
I was really particularly interested in your signage. Is anything going to change? Are you putting a new sign up? Is the name going to change? I believe it's staying the same.
Yeah.
But as far as the signage goes, are you having a new sign installed, or are you just going to use the one that's?
I'm gonna refresh the signs. that
Okay.
Are
That's
there
good.
now, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
But
That-
inside, it's the walk-in box is a great brand new one, and
Good.
The the insulation, instead of being 2 inches, it's going to be 3 inches. All sorts of stuff like that.
Sure, and I'm
So,
sure that'd be a welcome change.
Delving into my savings and things like that.
He's made a substantial investment, I believe.
And as he's saying that, I'm looking over at his son. Okay, I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops? No questions. All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and accept this new license. Looking for a second?
I second the motion for the new license.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, thank you,
congratulations.
commissioners.
Done.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Well, you're welcome so much, and lots of luck to you, Mr. Phelps. And that's it for the hearing. Inspectors, before you leave, give me 1 minute, please.